The cryptocurrency landscape in Australia is evolving rapidly with increasing adoption and regulatory discussions shaping the industry. Now, since launching in May last year, 2024, OKX Australia has seen significant growth with trading volumes quadrupling in just a few months. Let's bring in Kate Cooper now from OKX Australia. Great to see you here on Ticker. Talk to us about the trends that are shaping crypto adoption in Australia from your point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Aaron. We're seeing mainstream adoption surge. At least 1 in 3 Australians now own crypto. And one of the areas that's growing rapidly is self-managed super funds, diversifying their portfolio into crypto. We're seeing a clear demand for trusted platforms, in particular those that are ahead of the curve from a regulatory point of view. For example, we have an Australian financial services licence, but also localised features like AUD trading pairs are performing incredibly well. And of course, the requirement for fiat on-ramp and off-ramp. Australians, what we're seeing is they want utility, they want security, they want transparency. They want to know that their investments are safe. And that's one of the reasons why we launched the responsibility report back in March, to really give them the confidence that they are dealing with a responsible global player.
Yeah, Kate, it's obviously been a really interesting time, shall we say, in the crypto world since Trump took to the White House. What do you see as driving OKX Australia's rapid growth, despite, I guess, all of the uncertainty we've been seeing?
Absolutely. Listen, I think tailored onboarding makes it easy. So, for example, we have specific onboarding tools for self-managed super funds. As I said before, the zero breach compliance track record builds trust with users and institutions alike. And for us, we bring global technology, but with a local team on the ground. We have 22 team members currently based out of Sydney, and that will grow rapidly to probably about 40 by the end of this year. And so we're really looking at how we can tailor a global winning platform for Australians. That's making the biggest difference in terms of our growth.
Yeah, wow. Now, you're relatively new to the organisation, and I should have mentioned at the start, CEO of OKX Australia. Talk to us about your experience, Zodia custody, also NAB, how I suppose it's influenced your approach. And I note that you keep talking about reliability, security. Is that something that comes from working for a big bank?
I think it is one of the things that I learnt in my 4 years leading digital assets at National Australia Bank was how important trust is, how important security is. And one of the reasons that I moved from NAB to OKX is I wanted to bring the best of the technology that the world sees, but also bring that focus on trust, compliance management, making sure Australian investors are kept as safe as possible. And that's been something that went on into my role leading Zodia across the APAC region. I saw how important custody of digital assets is, and the fact that having that institutional grade custody for everyone actually really helps enhance the safety and security for all Australians.
Yeah, well, congrats on the new role, as I say. Talk to us about your vision for OKX Australia in the digital economy. What would you like to see happen here, and how are we doing compared to the rest of the world?
Listen, that's a very good question. I think our intent is right, but we definitely need to be moving faster in Australia. We risk losing ground without fit for purpose licensing for digital asset platforms. And I think that that's about protecting everyday Australians as well. We've seen both sides of the political parties come and be supportive of the sector and commit to fit for purpose regulation post-election. We now need to see that promise follow through. And so for OKX, our vision is simple. We want to be the primary infrastructure layer for Australia's digital economy. We want to connect people, capital and innovation through, as I've talked about before, secure, transparent systems. So it's not just about building an exchange. That's one part of our capability. We actually want to build the rails for Australia's financial future infrastructure, connecting Aussies to the global crypto markets and indeed also Web3 opportunities.
It's been really interesting watching the US election campaign last year, where crypto was a really big part of it. We saw Donald Trump speaking in, I think it was July, at the Bitcoin conference. We've seen obviously Elon Musk and Dogecoin even naming essentially government department over it as well. We're in the midst of an Australian election campaign, and I haven't heard the word crypto uttered once. Talk to me about your view of Australia's crypto regulations. I know you've been outspoken on it in the past. What changes do you think are needed?
Look, listen, I think it's about fit for purpose regulation with other jurisdictions, for example, like Singapore, Dubai. We're seeing specific regulation that is tailored to what is, in essence, the first new asset class in 25 years. So that looks like platform licensing, stablecoin reform, and tokenized asset guidelines. And certainly at OKX, we welcome all three. We've anticipated that any major player in Australia will be required to hold an Australian financial services license. And so that's something we hold today. And we're already seeing the fact that that unlocks institutional adoption in particular, alongside broader economic utility. And I think for me, licensing will ultimately separate the tourists from the builders. So we're ready to go, set up for what's to come, and are looking forward to a aggressive government position on the sector, freeing up fit for purpose legislation.
Here's a tricky question, because when I have a look at the crypto industry, I sometimes worry that it may end up inadvertently going down the same track as, let's say, Uber, which came in promising to change the world, decentralize what was a difficult taxi system, only to end up replicating it with the same sort of drivers doing the same sort of issues with over-regulation and taxes, just to try and fit in to get those government licenses to be able to operate in different cities. How do you balance compliance with crypto's decentralized nature to avoid it losing the very thing that made it loved by so many early adopters?
Yeah, no, I think that is a tricky balance. It's a balance that, as one of the world's leading exchanges, we've sought to get right over the years, and we see compliance as a competitive advantage, not a constraint. Actually, our ethos is freedom through transparency. So one of the things we do, which is pretty unique in the market, is we offer real-time reports on proof of reserves. We match all of our customer funds that are held on our platform one-to-one, and provide clear protections alongside collaborating with the regulator. The future of crypto is decentralized, but for us, the path there is paved with trust and underpinned with trust. And so that's really how we maintain true to the vision of a decentralized financial system, but in a safe and secure way for all Australians.
Kate Cooper, congrats on the new gig, and you've done a wonderful job of explaining all that to us here at Ticker. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.